Going through a traumatic event can truly be life-changing, and I'm not talking about in the most positive ways either. When you go through a traumatic event, which are events such as car accidents, natural disasters, abuse, violence, or even dealing with an unexpected death of a family member or friend, going through situations like these can really take its toll on your mental health, your physical health, and completely change who you are as a person. Now, if you just recently went through a traumatic experience, please know that there is hope, all right? You will get through this emotional, mental, and possibly even physical challenge that you're currently facing. So with that being said, this is my goal for this video. I'm going to explain what trauma is and some of its causes and effects. By breaking down what trauma is, my hope is that the tips I share with you on how to pull through these moments become that much more impactful. So let's get into it. What is trauma? Trauma is a physical, mental, or emotional response to any extremely stressful, frightening, and possibly life-threatening situations, which a victim feels helpless or endangered. A traumatic situation may happen abruptly or all of a sudden. This is like the car accident example I mentioned earlier. Or it can even be an ongoing situation, like living in an abusive environment. During either of these situations, your body and mind undergo an extreme amount of stress. The amount of time it takes to recover from these traumatic events varies from individual to individual. So there's no one single answer for time to say, for example, I went through a car accident, so it's going to take me 6 months to mentally fully recover from it.
I don't know, 3 or 4.
3 or 4 what? Days, weeks, months?
Yeah, maybe 5.
Or I went through an abusive relationship for over a year, so it's going to take me exactly 2 years to fully recover. There is no formula that works like that, but just know with time and these tips I'll share with you in this video, you can recover. One way to begin recovering from trauma is to learn its effects on you and your body. Fighting through something is a lot easier when you know exactly what you're up against. Some of the effects trauma has on your body are things like exhaustion, complete emotional numbness. You no longer feel like you have the ability to trust other people. You might be feeling way more comfortable being isolated, alone, and by yourself, or you may even have flashbacks. This can happen when you hear a sound or noise that triggers something that reminds you of that past traumatic experience. These are just a few of the many effects trauma can have on your body. In some situations, you can recover from trauma in a month or less, but for some, it can actually take years. Usually, the condition most people face having to recover from after a traumatic event is something known as post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD for short. According to the definition, PTSD is a psychiatric condition in which a victim of a traumatic situation struggles to function, displaying symptoms such as nightmares, flashbacks, hypervigilance, and possibly even suicidal thoughts. Now, let's pause for a second. Please know that if you deal with facing or struggling with PTSD, you are not alone. It's actually a mental condition that many people do face. An estimated 8% of Americans have PTSD at any given time. That is equal to the total population of Texas. So again, you are not alone when it comes to facing and dealing with PTSD. Also, I want you to know that there is hope. Here are some tips I have for you about some ways that you can start to begin the recovery process yourself when it comes to better managing your PTSD and healthily recovering from a traumatic event. The first tip I have for you is to write down your thoughts and feelings into a journal. Now, usually when people bring up the concept of journaling, there's this pressure to feel like you have to do it on a daily basis. There's no pressure at all about how often you journal. My suggestion is at least once a week. But by doing this, you're able to start to let out and get out these heavy and deep emotions and possibly even painful memories that you have inside. Personally, I know that when I journal, it just helps me to be able to get all of it out of my head and just be able to see it on paper, because I feel like after I'm done journaling and the entry is over, it feels like I got this release, or I got something out of me that truly needed to get out. So my suggestion to you in this first tip, journal how you're feeling and what you're going through. I do suggest doing it at least once a week. The second tip I have for you is to go for a short walk or run. One of the hardest things to do when you're feeling down and going through these traumatic emotional feelings is to move. You don't feel like moving at all. But if you just get those shoes on and you go outside and you go for that walk, getting your body moving will get that blood flowing. It will get your oxygen increasing. It will actually get you to start thinking differently and get you out of that isolated and really constricted emotional place that you were just in. So to sum up the second tip, go for a short run or jog because this will help you process the event physically, which will help you emotionally as well. The third tip I have for you is, if you are emotionally unstable, don't drink and don't take drugs. I've said this before and I'll say it again. There is a difference between recreational use and abuse. And I can't imagine that if you just went through a traumatic and emotionally traumatic experience, then drinking and taking drugs is only going to slow down your ability to process what happened and cause you to kind of numb your feelings. When you numb your feelings, it slows you down from again processing what your body really just emotionally went through. And it can even slow your progress of talking to others about what happened as well. So for this tip, really stay away from looking at drinking and taking drugs as a healthy way to cope with what you just experienced. If you don't, it could lead to a longer and much more difficult recovery process. Now, by this point, I hope that this video has helped you learn more about what trauma is, some of its effects on you and your body, and even a more defined way to understand PTSD. The biggest takeaway I want you to have from this video though, is to see that if you're going through a traumatic event, recovery is possible. Sometimes when we go through something that really affected us heavily, recovering and getting better alone can become too much. And it would be great to have some support and some people around us that know how to help us get through this. With that being said, if you are looking to get some help from recovering from trauma, Sandstone Care is definitely a helpful resource you should check out. At Sandstone Care, they have a team that is caring and compassionate and people who really want to see you recover from your trauma. If you want to get into contact with someone that is a real person,
Hi there,
who will want to get to know you and your situation and is willing to help connect you with the right support that you need, even if it's not with them, again, check out Sandstone Care. You can live chat them right now at sandstonecare.com or contacting them by the number below. I guarantee you contacting them will help shed more light and give more positive hope that you will get through this. All right, make sure to leave a comment down below if you have any other questions that you would like Sandstone Care to answer. We actually may make a video on a question that you ask, so it definitely helps when you leave a comment down below. All right, I hope that this video was a helpful resource for you. Keep on pushing forward.